Deep in the vanishing forests of West Africa lives a primate so elusive that scientists have barely begun to understand it, and it's running out of time. Picture this: a medium-sized monkey with a sleek gray coat, a white belly, and a long tail that helps it balance as it leaps through the canopy. This is the Agile Mangabey, a creature that spends most of its life high in the trees, rarely touching the ground. For generations, these monkeys thrived across the dense rainforests of countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana. They lived in tight-knit groups, communicating through complex vocalizations, foraging for fruits and seeds, and playing a crucial role in dispersing the seeds of the very trees that sheltered them. But today, their world is quietly collapsing. The forests they depend on are being erased at an alarming rate, and with them, the future of this remarkable primate. So what exactly is happening to the Agile Mangabey, and why should we care? To understand the threat facing the Agile Mangabey, you first need to grasp the scale of the loss. West Africa was once covered in vast, unbroken stretches of tropical rainforest. These were ancient ecosystems, layered, biodiverse, and teeming with life. The Agile Mangabey evolved within this rich tapestry, perfectly adapted to life in the upper canopy. But over the past century, human activity has transformed the landscape. Logging, agriculture, mining, and urbanization have eaten away at the forest, leaving behind a patchwork of isolated fragments. In some regions, over 80% of the original forest cover is gone. For a species that relies on large, continuous tracts of forest to find food and mates, this fragmentation is devastating. The real tragedy is that we're losing the Agile Mangabey before we even fully understand it. Unlike more famous primates like chimpanzees or gorillas, Mangabeys are shy and difficult to study. They move quickly through the treetops, avoiding human contact. Much of what we know comes from fleeting observations and camera trap footage. We've learned that they live in social groups led by experienced females, that they have specific calls for different predators, and that they prefer certain tree species for feeding and nesting. But there's so much more we don't know: their exact population numbers, their migration patterns, how they're adapting to change. What is clear is that as the forest shrinks, their groups are being forced into smaller and smaller pockets of habitat. This leads to overcrowding, increased competition for food, and higher stress levels. In some areas, Mangabeys have been observed coming down to the ground more frequently, a risky behavior that exposes them to predators and poachers. It's a sign of desperation, but it's not just habitat loss that's pushing them toward the edge. The illegal bushmeat trade is another major threat. In many parts of West Africa, wild meat is a traditional source of protein, and primates are often targeted. Mangabeys are particularly vulnerable because they're relatively large and travel in noisy groups, making them easy to locate. While laws exist to protect them, enforcement is weak and demand remains high. Then there's the issue of disease. As forests are cleared, humans and wildlife come into closer contact, increasing the risk of disease transmission. Mangabeys, like many primates, are susceptible to illnesses carried by humans and domestic animals. An outbreak could wipe out an already fragile population in a matter of weeks. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this story is what the loss of the Agile Mangabey means for the forest itself. These primates are what ecologists call ecosystem engineers. By feeding on fruits and dispersing seeds across wide areas, they help maintain the health and diversity of the forest. Certain tree species rely almost exclusively on animals like the mangabey to spread their seeds. Without them, the forest's ability to regenerate is compromised. It's a vicious cycle. Less forest means fewer mangabeys, and fewer mangabeys means a less resilient forest. We're not just losing a species, we're unraveling an entire ecosystem. So is there any hope for the Agile Mangabey? The answer is yes, but time is running out. Conservation groups are working to protect remaining forest fragments and create wildlife corridors that allow mangabeys to move between isolated patches. Reforestation projects are underway, though it takes decades for planted trees to mature into suitable habitat. Local communities are being engaged in conservation efforts, offering alternative livelihoods that reduce dependence on forest resources. Education programs are helping people understand the importance of protecting these primates. In some areas, community-led patrols are helping to curb poaching. These efforts are making a difference, but they need to be scaled up quickly. The story of the Agile Mangabey is a powerful reminder that extinction isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it happens quietly in the background as forests fall and species fade away one by one. But it's also a story of resilience. These primates have survived for millennia, adapting to changes and challenges. With our help, they can continue to do so. The question is whether we will act in time to ensure that future generations can look up into the canopy and catch a glimpse of this elusive, graceful creature, still leaping through the trees, still playing its vital role in the forest. What other little-known species do you think deserve more attention? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Rare Species for more stories from the edge of extinction.